Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Review.
Thank you all for clicking on our faces.
New flag with all that.
Okay, so I wrote down some notes.
Let's do that.
I don't want to sit too hard.
That's twice. That'll probably go over about as well as Colonel Bobby.
Because there was no Jay White sighting.
Just straight up gangbanging. This story has been fit. You gotta pay attention.
So Unpopular Review does not. What is she the CEO of, Chris? Jesus, golly. Let's start the show.
I actually am starting that to weigh on me. I actually like that. Talking about gangbanging. Jesus, golly. Who's the CEO of, Chris? I love that intro after all. It's actually starting to rub off on me in all the right ways, stroke all the Johnny Gills. Listen, we're talking about stroking. We are talking about one of the greatest films of all time. Of all time. We're talking over 50 years. The Godfather, y'all. Was it good, though? Just because it's old, don't mean it's a good film. We'll be right back, y'all.
Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
He says there's no chance.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
You know my father. The men are coming here to kill him.
Now you want to get mixed up in the family business?
I thought you weren't going to become a man like your father.
I never wanted this for you.
Fredo, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again. Ever. Don't ask me about my business, Kate.
Is it true?
Well, I ran the wrong commercial, so we're going to run the real commercial over right now. And here we go again. I mean, this month's theme should have been long ass movies. Welcome to Unpopular Review, the No Ma'am edition.
Tonight's broadcast has been commandeered by the secret society No Ma'am, National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
And we
I forget that Vic's part of No Ma'am. I don't know why.
That sometimes.
I do because he wasn't there in Philly, but I do remember that. So yes, he is No Ma'am.
And we are here to talk long ass movies. And the first long ass movie that was chosen was mine, The Godfather. Why did I choose this movie? Because I just turned 49 years old. This movie is over 54 years old. It's 53 years old to be exact. And I never wanted to watch this film, but I have all this media that I pay for, the Paramount Pluses and the Peacocks of the world. You figure you put something on there, well, let's watch it. So there's a show called The Offer that is completely about how this movie got made. Widely regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time. Mob-based drama come off the novel by Mario Puzo and focuses on an Italian crime family and the Don played by Marlon Brando. For those who don't know, because y'all might be a little bit too old, he was Superman's dad in Superman's movie. You should know for more than that. Played by Marlon Brando, and he has his younger son, Michael. Al Pacino's first big major picture movie. So much history behind how they didn't want him to play in that role and everything else. Reluctant to join the mafia. And it's very funny listening to them watching this film because the true story behind this, how this movie got made, it wouldn't have gotten made without the family's approval. And they took out certain words throughout the entire film. You only hear the word mafia once in the movie. They're called a family, and it goes through the trials and tribulations of how Michael, young army vet played by Al Pacino, is coming home to the family business, who tried to separate himself from the family business, finds himself thrown right in the thick of things. And I mean, the cast is, without being said, from Al Pacino, as I just said, Marlon Brando, as I just mentioned, James Caan, Diane Keaton, the list goes on and on and on. One, like I said, arguably regarded as one of the greatest movies of all time. But was it a good film because it's regarded that way? Let's talk box office first, guys, if we can do this. You know, I like to do that a little bit of number. This movie came out in 1972 and grossed over $291 million. To this day, it still ranks as 63rd on Paramount's all-time movie list and still ranks 497 all-time in movies. And if you know movies like we do movies here, we know that a lot of these movies the last few years, the Avatars, the Avengers, those kind of movies, the Spider-Mans, hell, even Deadpool's are in your top 10, 1500s and number one. So for a movie from 1972 to still be ranked in the top 500 is impressive. I'm going to start with Three Ticket Consulting. Your thoughts of our first long-ass movie, The Godfather.
It is long-ass movie month, isn't it? I definitely feel this, and it gets worse and worse each time. But let me tell you, I never saw this movie, right? I've heard about it. I've seen spoofs of it. I know about it, you know, pretty much from beginning to end. But I've never saw it, sat down, watched the entire movie from beginning to end. And I can see why. It was long as hell. But it's interesting to see Marlon Brando. It's interesting to see Al Pacino. Al Pacino, my gosh, his acting skills definitely changed going forward from this movie. I'm not saying he did a bad job or anything like that, or that he was a scrub, so to speak. He was fantastic in the movie. But if you see that and you watch our next movie, Heat, you'll see a complete difference in his acting style. Now, that being said, we pretty much start off with, what did you like? What did you not like about this movie? I think everybody knows, who has been watching us for years now, knows what I want to say about his dislike. This movie is long as freak, bro. Long as freak. It's automatically a dislike. But the mafia style has always been a fascinating interest to me, right? And this is somewhat, to a certain extent, the blueprint of how all mafia movies are made. Shout out to Mike Knox for mentioning the fact that mafia was only used once. I counted that. I saw that. I heard that, right? It was a family. Don't talk about the business with the rest of the family. We don't talk about the business at the table. Family. That's ultimately what it's about. I think it was intriguing. I think it was directed very well. I think the acting was done very well. It was so great to hear the line, even though I've heard it so many times before. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Love it. Vic, we'll go down to you.
Well, can you hear me? All right. This was interesting because I am from Corona, Queens, and that area at one time was predominantly Italian. So when we came into this neighborhood, it was very, very Italian. And Godfather has been praised as like the greatest movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
There were people had VHS sets and
Betamaxes.
Yeah, like this thing is like Star Wars level of hype, right? Especially in the Italian American community.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, like in my opinion, it shows the range of especially at that time of Al Pacino, because around the same time he did a little bit after, actually, like he did Scarface. And one of the things that I respect about this guy is that he does a lot of movies where there's a moral to the story. You know what I mean? Like the life is not what it's what people think it is. You know what I mean? And a lot of this stuff pretty true. I remember all the families, the Gambino family and the Spaghetti Park and the shit that they got into. So it's very true to life. this movie. Now, the funny thing is that, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, is that it aged well. However, it probably would have been better as a series, like a little mini series right here. Because the truth is that, like, I always grew up with people talking about which movie was better, part 1 or part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really just one long movie. Really. Like, it's just,
Have you seen part 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like Avengers. It's like Infinity War. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
I'm on the side of saying, from what you heard, also your whole life, 1 or 2 being better. I always thought that 1 was better than 2, but I see why people say 2 is better, because it has a little bit more action in it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I see that. But the thing is that I don't feel like you can watch 2 without watching 1.
Of course. Absolutely.
So that's the thing. Like, it's
definitely can't watch 2 and then say, oh, yeah, you got to watch 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's like watching Endgame without Infinity War. Like, you don't see the snap. You don't see, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Why
do they feel this way?
Yeah, now part 3, you can watch it by yourself.
Yeah,
that's
trash.
No, but here's the thing: when it comes to that, though, because that is interesting. Is, mind you, part 3 is like Coming to America, part 2. You know what I mean? It's
so many years later. It's like 20 years later they made it. Yeah,
exactly.
It came out, like 22 years later. It came out in like 94.
No, but that just goes to show you the demand that
movie
came after the fact. You know what I mean?
I feel like I was watching Mark of Death with Steven Seagal with Al Pacino.
Yes. Now the way that they ended it could have been perfect, because the guy was just like, off into the sunset. But the one thing about all of these gangster movies is just that at the end, you end up alone. You end up by yourself, like sitting by yourself, because either you can't trust anybody, you don't have any connections really. Like, and I'm talking about a human connection. Because a lot of these guys in all of these movies in general, one thing that happens is that, the one place where they have some type of actual human connection and human emotion, and that's not tied to business, that's the one thing that they yearn for the most at the end. Either they're just looking for somebody to talk to, or just constantly thinking about somebody that they miss. Right. And that's really the cost of all of this money. Sometimes, and I just find it interesting how Al Pacino's just really, really good at telling these stories, and I think that he, when he passes away, this is going to be one of his big things. You know what I mean? This guy is, man. You have Tony Montana and Michael Corleone, like.
And I personally think that the first one you said is overrated. I'm not the fan of Scarface, as most people are. I personally thought the acting in that movie was below subpar for the people in that movie. I just didn't, and I get it. It's just one of them hood things, and honestly, it's more of a cult classic than it was a box office smash. It actually tanked in the box office very badly. It lost money. But one of the things that Joking Consultant said about Al Pacino, and you see the next movie we're going to do, he's also in it. Then this month, in our long ass movie month, we got Heat coming around the horizon. His acting does get better, but I think in 2
it's Al Pacino month.
Yeah, Al Pacino.
That's what it should have been, Al Pacino month.
Yeah, now that I figured he's in all 3 movies. How about that?
And mind you, we didn't even think about it like that, because
we did. But if you think about it, he is like
in
the
all 3 movies.
Quintessential actor when people think about mob movies, because he played so many of them. Him and Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro. I mean,
I think more.
If we get Godfather 2, it'll be Robert De Niro month too.
I'm more. I think Robert De Niro does a little bit more gangster, but it's all the same premise. It's the same as you think of him.
Well, yeah, Scarface, he played a gangster. That being Al Pacino, and Heat, which we'll talk about next week, he plays, as we all know,
the Popo. Yeah, but again, I think it's something very good to people, because this movie, for me, I've seen it differently than most people. You either see it because it was a great movie, people talked about to go see it. It was a box office smash. For me, it was one of them things, as I'm starting to realize as we're filming this. Shout out to Team USA and winning the gold medal. It took a lot of pride in me to say I enjoyed that team a lot more than I enjoyed the Dream Team. Not saying it's a better team than Dream Team, but what them boys did, congratulations to LeBron James and them winning the gold medal in that game, very tough. So me watching this Godfather movie came about because I saw this TV show. that was coming on Paramount Plus, and called The Offer. And it talks about Francis Ford Coppola. It talks about the guy, Mr. Al Ruddy, who put this film together, but his only success was that he got lucky, and through the shot he created Hogan's Heroes. And from Hogan's Heroes, he goes to the producer of the lot for Paramount, and he talks him into letting him get a job. And his first job with them was Love Song, another famous Paramount movie, but they said I'm going to be a one-hit wonder, and he was thrown this as a shot in the dark, you're going to fail kind of job. And the fact that this movie is so deep is that the families, the real Italian mafia, did not want this film to be made because they felt not only that the guy, the author of the book, made Italians look bad, that this film would also come out and do that. But it's also, next to the Bible, the highest grossing book of all time is The Godfather. And that's crazy within itself as well. And all those intriguing facts brought me into a movie that I thought just transformed into that era and that time. And I can't wait to come back and talk about whether we liked it, thumbs ups, thumbs downs. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back right back here, y'all, on Pop Review Entertainment. The Godfather, Al Pacino, long-ass movie month. Hell, I don't know. What we got coming up next, Chris? Roll the beautiful bean footage.
Kara, your friends are in mortal peril, but there is something we can do.
What we thought was an antimatter tsunami turned out to be an ongoing storm without any predictable pattern. Wave ho.
Another universe lost.
You think he just happened to be in the neighborhood when your planet blew up?
What do you think?
I was wrong about it all. All living things in all realities are about to die.
He's here. I can feel it.
From The Godfather to Scent of a Woman.
What do we got?
From Raging Bull to Goodfellas.
Assume they got our phones, assume they got our houses, assume they got us.
Their performances have created a legacy of landmark films.
I want full surveillance. That's 24 hours, round the clock. We never close, open 7 days a week.
Now, for the first time, America's two most electrifying actors collide. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, in a Michael Mann film.
Heat. We are back. We are talking The Godfather. And I mean, geez Louise, everything that Vic Damone Jr. said down there as I'm joined by Vic Damone Jr., the executive consultant. I am Mike Knox. The No Man crew is here.
Tonight's broadcast has been commandeered by the secret society No Man, National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
Never gets old. And neither does this movie to me. I never watched it until 2-3 years ago. I love that this came up and was able to go watch it again. And it is a long ass movie. But this is a movie that I understand what my teacher put me through in college. And she says that I'm going to have you come out of this class and you're going to not like me. But when you see other kids on this campus that have taken my class, you will all nod and know that you know more than the other person about how films are made.
Right.
And sometimes that gets me in trouble. And you know what my wife has told me to tell people who get mad that I talk that way? Don't get mad at me because I got an education in that field. So I have a little bit more intelligence than you do in that direction. That's not an opinion base. That's how lighting. How do you do 3-point lighting? There's a right way. There's a wrong way. Any other way is wrong. It's just a right way to do 3-point lighting. And when you make a film, this film did that. It painted a picture of every single scene, even coming out from the beginning of the movie at the wedding scene. And the cops are all out there getting the FBI, doing stuff illegal, getting license plates numbers and all that kind of stuff. And they come out there. Michael Caan's character, James Caan's character, I'm sorry, comes out there. Just amazing. The whole, when you always hear that line you talked about earlier about at the toll booth, Michael, at the toll booth, when you see this movie, you go, damn, that man said, and he ducked. You knew it was on, okay? Him yelling with his wife. Adrian is in this movie, for heaven's sakes, from Rocky, okay? All right, this movie had everything in it from family to violence. And we got to take this into consideration. This is 1972. This movie was getting made in 1970. All right. I encourage everybody to go watch the TV show, The Offer. What's my favorite parts of this movie? The entire movie. Okay. What's my favorite part about the show? The entire show, except for it went off the air. So much you learn about history of making movies. When a movie like this, Joe Colombo, and that, like you're talking about, Vic, that they shut the mob. When my man gets fired as a producer, the mob shuts the film down. The mob wanted to come to the opening premiere, but it was afraid it was going to hurt the movie. The man set up a secret screening for the mob to see the movie to get their approval, because it meant more to him that they let him make this, because they were going to kill the man for making this movie. It was flat out they were going to murder him. You're not making this movie. And it's just incredible film. Al Pacino's first big movie.
Hey, you can see why, though.
Yeah, he was going to go do a comedy. They had to pay to get him out. And the president still didn't even want him. It's so much back and forth turmoil. I mean, you finally see this movie, the horse head in the movie, all this nonsense. It's just classic after classic after classic. And it's the number one movie, rated as one of the top films of all time for a very good reason. And you see, we talk about X2 being the blueprint for where not just superhero movies need to go nowadays, but where a lot of movies copy that early scene. Let's get to it. Let's see how that hits. Let's get them from the beginning. They're sitting in their seats and their popcorn is still warm, filling. This movie doesn't give you that because it's 3 hours, so minutes long. But you see where the blueprint is set for every single major mob movie from this movie on was done right because of this movie. I'm going ahead of jump. I jumped ahead of the curve. I'm giving it right out now a thumbs up for me, hands down. No alcohol required. Have a L, have a drink. This is a great movie. I'm going to go with you last. I got a consultant on this one. Okay. Vic Damone Jr. If you got your favorite parts, worst parts, you got a quotable. This is your time right now. Then give us your thumbs up. What you got?
Well, it's hard to talk about this movie with just talking about the first one. That's hard to do, especially when you saw the second one.
Very hard.
What I will say is that this story is an American classic because it resonates with a lot of people, especially Italians, right? So the bad part is that Italians haven't been able to live down this image. Mm-hmm. Since the 70s, this is the image that they've had. And mind you, some of them cosplay it. Some of them, you know what I mean? If you roll through Long Island, you see them do that. So now things have changed to where, you have Adidas sweatshirts in place of, 2-piece suits and 3-piece suits and all of this stuff. And like
the gold chain now.
Looking
like Paulie from Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, mind you, but that all of that stuff is true to life. So, however, the one thing that I see that has definitely changed is just that, like, the families are just the same thing as the gang, where it's not necessarily a blood family. Mm-hmm. Like Sonny is a very important character in this thing, and so is Fredo.
Fredo is very important to this film.
Yeah, and then Fredo. But then the thing is just because the thing that I get the most from all of this stuff is that sometimes life here is there's parts of life here that's just is so pro money that it's anti-family, because at the end of the day, a lot of bad things happen because everybody was just trying to get their own piece of the action, and the culture is to pay your taxes, to do what's best for yourself. That's the culture amongst everybody, regardless of the race. You know what I mean? Because when everybody's the same, things get real fucking petty. And things got real fucking petty here. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how saltine everybody is, you feel me? But yeah, man, this movie is a classic because it just definitely shows a lot. Now, what I'm curious to see is how, the younger generation will view this, because it is super long for them to digest. And like I said, if it were
they seem longer. The Return of the King is longer than this film.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
No, I mean, but I'm just saying, like,
film.
I'm just saying in general, and I even see it in myself. Like if I'm on TikTok, I have certain expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like my expectations are really, really short.
Yeah,
So that's what I mean by
that.
That's what I mean by that. So like, you know, if this thing were broken up into a series of hour-long shows, I think it would definitely digest better. But you know, at the same time, it's 50 years old. So I don't know if anybody thinks about that looking into this, you know, because when you see a movie so old, sometimes you can get lost in the way things used to be, you know, especially being this old. Like sometimes you can get lost in like even something as simple as somebody using the yellow pages or something like that, you know, or using a phone with a cord and things like that. You can get lost in that sometimes. So, but I mean, I'm rambling, but anyway, I'm going to give this a thumbs up because it was entertaining.
And is the verdict in? What do you got to say? Good parts, worst parts, other than being long? Like a consultant, floor is yours.
The movie was freaking long, bro. That's the worst part. The movie was long, and because it's long, you know, you talk about TikTok expectations. That's the way of the world now, man. And unfortunately for me, I'm watching this movie in 2024. You know, you go on YouTube, you go on TikTok, and you can actually look at your analytics, and it will tell you the average watch time from a viewer. Right? How long did that viewer watch a portion of your video?
Mm-hmm.
This movie was over 3 hours long, man. And I will tell you the service that I did to it, and that's me watching all these things that were either spoofs or taken directly from The Godfather. Example, I forgot what spoof movie it was, but the scene where the Don Corleone died while helping out his grandchild, right, was spoofed to the movie, and I recall that. All the times where they say he's mumbling in the movies because he has mothballs in his mouth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, it was hard for me to watch and not think about stuff like that. The horse head scene, Sonny Corinthos off of General Hospital. It is hard for me to watch this stuff. So when I watch it and I say, hey, did I enjoy it? Did it captivate my attention for all 3 hours? Mm-hmm. That's what this is for. Yeah, it did. And it surprised me, but it did. It was a good movie. And the fact that I hear so many good things about it and I know how high it's ranked in a lot of people's list, I actually see and understand why. So Godfather, kudos to you.
Hey, I picked the movie. I give the most thumbs ups, by the way. Just had to throw that out there. And also that this is Al Pacino, long ass.
We got to buy you a trophy.
Nah, shoe fly. You know what? I do want one. I want to have our symbol on it, like the Shiva. If you ever watched the League, the TV show The League, they had the Shiva for fantasy football, and they shared it every year. The trophy. I want it. Who gets the most thumbs up get to keep the trophy for the year? We've been doing this for a while. I can see us being, some of us anyway. Who's gonna live the longest?
I feel like maybe next year, and when y'all get a new host, a new third host.
Oh, he's leaving us. Was that his destiny? Did he just bow out on air?
What are you talking about? Y'all have known this for a while. This is always supposed to be temporary.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh gosh.
Yeah, Chris is, I mean, but Chris is always Chris is always temporary in every show.
In every show. Every show he's temporary.
This is factual.
Well, when was not, it's factual how great this movie was. Thumbs up from the team here aboard. Listen, guys, make sure you go check out our next film after you watch this film. Like, follow, subscribe, Unpopular Review Entertainment, Unpopular Review, all the social media pages. You see it. We see y'all next week, y'all. Peace.
Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
He says there's no chance.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
You know my father. The men are coming here to kill him. Now you want to give